This is a quick start guide to the Plasmastatic V2. So when you receive this machine, it is one piece. The only thing that you need to install is this tray here. This tray is only for the newest version of the Plasmastatic V2.2, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that you will screw in from the bottom. You will open that door, you will install this tray, and this tray is here, so when you clean the door, the powder will fall on the tray and not on your floor. You only need to connect the electricity. You connect your compressed air through that nozzle right there, and that is an industrial quick connect air connection. You need to connect that to your air compressor, the blue actuator, the blue knob on the device. You slide it up and down for on off. You need dry compressed air. I typically recommend a large 18 CFM compressor and a refrigerated air dryer. Very simple. Once your machine is set up, which entails basically dry compressed air, electricity, installing this pan, that's it. That's all you do. Keys to be able to open this, a little red key to be able to open this electrical panel, which we do not recommend that you open. You shouldn't have to mess with this. This is a door sensor. Whenever the door is opened, the machine basically resets and gives you an error. So you push this button, now the machine is in a state where you can operate it. But if you open the door, you get that error message. When you open the door, everything stops. The electrical power supplies that power these plates turn off, and then the discharge electrodes also turn off when you open the door. So you hit reset. There is a master switch on the back of this panel to turn on the entire machine, and then there is also an emergency switch. So when you push the emergency switch, you see you have this reset button here. So I pushed it, there's an emergency, you need to reset. You see it doesn't work, you turn this and it pulls out, and now you're ready to work. Hit the reset button, and now you're ready to work. That's the basis of operation. That's how this works. A few other things of note. This is your separation chamber. The fluidized particles come out of here. Plates, you can change the angle of attack, and then you can change the position. So with this knob, you loosen this up, and the plates move back and forth. You see that? Find where you want them, you tighten them up, then change the angle of attack wherever you want them. This is where you want your plates. You want your plates to be parallel to each other. There's a lot of theory on how and where to place your plates. Generally, when you're starting, what I recommend is that you keep your plates really close to each other, parallel, both plates parallel to each other. However, as you gain skill and you understand how the process works, what I recommend is you can pull this plate out, pull the other one out, one closer to the other. You can play with this until you find a happy medium of what works for you. As particles free fall, they need to separate, and they're going to go one way or the other. And the reason that you angle the plates like this is because you have particles, they might bump into each other. So as they're falling, you want particles to be able to go to one side or the other. So if you have a situation where your head's plate, for example, has too much contaminants, you can move it back. Heads are strongly electrically charged and they're very heavy, so they will behave a certain way, versus contaminants have a weak electrical charge and they are very light. Because they're very light, it's easy for them to travel and to stick. Heads are very heavy. Because they're very heavy, it's difficult for them to travel, but they also have a strong electrical charge. So you're going to use those properties to decide where to place your plates. Start by having them completely vertical, parallel to each other, and as you gain skill, you move one plate back or both plates back, and or eventually you can learn how to change the angle of attack to your benefit to get the quality that you want. Got it? Perfect. This machine has sensors. You'll see some sensors here. Be careful with these. You have these other connectors here. Be careful with these. These cables are brittle, and if you break them, they're extremely expensive. Now let's talk about this thing right here. Why is this thing here? The basis of operation is that airflow comes out here, a large amount of air comes out, hits this, and it wants to come out into your exhaust. If we don't have this thing here, what happens is if you have a strong air current that flows out of the device. So what this device right here does is it breaks that jet of air and turns it into a whole bunch of little jets that are not as strong, and it's harder for particles to make it out to the exhaust. And so this exhaust that you see here, check your user manual, you'll see this is a 4-inch exhaust where you will connect your air exhaust to a shop cyclone of some sort, a dust collector of some sort. It can go to the outside of your building, or it can go to a dust cyclone to pick up any fines that will make it out of the machine. And then this machine has got very nice gasketing. It's extremely well sealed, so it'll keep dust to a minimum. Nonetheless, you need to do something with that air, and so that's how and where it all goes out, through those ducts. So this must always be installed. There's a couple things to mention. This is the discharge electrode. So what this thing does is, as the particles fall, they want to stick. Because they're electrically charged, they want to clump. So this zone right here, what this does is it kills that electrical charge and it takes it back to neutral, so it doesn't want to stick to this hopper. It's good, but it's not end all be all. It's not perfect, but it will increase your processing capacity. The newest hoppers and the newest versions are very shiny and mirror polished, so particles easily slide. If you clean this frequently, it'll work a lot better than if it's all sticky, right, with greasy hash that sticks to this. And the corners are rounded, keeping all of that in mind to prevent clumping and ease of particles flowing through this. If your hash is wet or too much active water content, it will tend to stick more than the ones that do not. But this helps, the design helps. Let's look down here, something else. These vibrators. This is another feature that helps to shake this so the particles leave that hopper, right? It makes it easier for the particles to flow. Now, there's welds on this. If you power this too strongly, this will pop your welds. So use some common sense. There is no numeric number to tell you how strong or not to operate these things. Use some common sense, listen to what it sounds like, and just make sure you only vibrate this strong enough for the hash to slide down the hopper, but not too strong for it to break anything. Again, it shouldn't be loud. It shouldn't sound like you're breaking something, because it sounds like you're breaking something, you probably are. These things have an enormous amount of force, so just be careful with them. Use enough air just to get your powder to flow, not more than you need. The cleaning for this machine, it's very simple. You will first brush everything inside this unit and collect everything. Then you can use compressed air to get into all of the nooks and crannies. The back of the plates, as you can see, they have slots for easy access, so you can clean. But first you brush, then with compressed air you blow everything down, and then you can wipe everything down with a solvent. You can use Alkanox Kilojet diluted 5%. You can use ISO. You can use ethanol at a high purity. And then these discharge electrodes, so you can remove this. They disconnect from this thing right there. So you push a little button and you pull these out, and it doesn't matter which place you plug them back in. Just don't get that wet when you're cleaning, but that's how you remove these things here. Again, brush everything, blow with compressed air everything, solvent, clean it. That's how that's cleaned. That's pretty much it for that. On the bottom, the triboelectric hose is removed, and then you recirculate water and Kilojet, followed by Star Sand sanitation with that to get a clean in place for that hose. Check your user manual on how to do that. This diffuser should be removed frequently, daily, so you can get that cleaned, because if residue accumulates, that's going to be a problem. Bad things start to happen. It starts clogging. For cleaning, you can remove this. There's some bolts right there. You remove this, ultrasonically clean it. This is tri-clamp, so you remove this for cleaning. This is removable. Remove this for cleaning. This suction feeder has some bolts right here to remove it, and this has little holes over here that eventually get clogged, so this needs to be cleaned in an ultrasonic with some detergent and warm water. That's pretty much it. Follow your cleaning protocols as per your user manual or whatever frequency your company has. Down here, we can remove this for cleaning this, but also for cleaning, emptying the hash that's inside the machine. So we remove all of this, turn this on, your hash comes out, and you can put some sort of collection bin here. And then the vibrator, it's got some connections here, right? Just make sure that everything is tight after shipping. Tight, tight. This is an exhaust. This is where the air comes in. But this vibrator, there's no maintenance done to it. But these two bolts up here are for disconnecting this. This bolt here and the one in the back changes this pitch. You need to make sure that the floor is level. So you put a level this way, make sure it's level this way, and you put a level this way, make sure it's level that way. And then if there's still issues, you can modify this bolt and on the back and change the pitch this way. And this bolt and the one on the opposite side are for changing this gap right here. So the greater the gap, the more hash is going to come out. And then how much comes out of here is done in the controls, right? The vibration frequency and voltage can be modified, so you can change how much hash actually comes out of it. And then you've got some actuators and electronics here. Is for the suction feeder, so it's got a cable for control, and then it controls air over here. Some solenoids and other things here. This you don't need to touch, you don't need to worry. If there is a problem, do not touch it. Call us instead, message us instead. So now let's look at the controls of the machine. Very simple. We have turned the machine on with the button on the back. The reset e-stop is fine, it's pulled out. We reset it. So to start the electrodes, it's very simple. You just turn them on. And you see now the electrodes are on. You can turn them off, and that's it. So this powers the electrodes that are at what energizes the plates, so the hash sticks to it. Now, in some cases, you might have the heads on one side and the tails on the other side. It really doesn't matter. It's obvious which is which. And if you have a problem where the heads are collecting, you can just change the cables in the power supplies that are inside here. You might have a preference where you want them. It doesn't really matter. This powers the suction feeder. This suction feeder is the device that carries particles up this hose. So, you turn them on like this. There's no compressed air in this machine, so it's obviously not going to turn on, but turn it on, it's powered on. Turn it off, it's powered off. So when you turn them on, you control how much air is going through this device right here. You see? This is called the potentiometer, and this controls how much air it's going to let in. So you see, again, suction feeder, 100% air, and then you just dial it down to whatever percentage of air you want going into that, right? And then when you turn it off, it's off. Okay, what else does this thing tell you? It tells you that 22 degrees Celsius is the temperature inside of the cabin, and it is 24% relative humidity. So you want this temperature to be in line with whatever you're processing. If you're processing fresh frozen, this might need to be in the -20 range. If you're processing dry cured material, this probably needs to be closer to 18 Celsius, so it'll tell you if there's a problem. Likewise with the humidity, usually 24 RH is amazing. Recommend is 60 RH, but I think that 40 is best, and if you can get lower than 40, that is amazing as well. This is the vibrating feeder. Like I said, this is what feeds hash coming out of this hopper. into the triboelectric charging tube. So you turn it on here, and it shows it's a 1, so like 1% of it. And you just mess with this, and it's gonna vibrate. You can kind of hear it's really loud, so you don't want it that strong because you can break it. So you're gonna find what percentage is best for your operation. You're gonna have to play with this a little to see where you need to set this, because it does vary for many reasons. Some hash need a little bit more power for it to start, but stop it. And then this is the hopper vibrator. The hopper vibrator is what vibrates this hopper. And so all we have is on and off. And then you can control how much on you're doing with this thing right here. So you turn this knob and you'll hear it. We don't have any compressed air, but that's how you control this. You know, this controls how open and closed. This is fully closed, and then the more you open it, the more air comes out of it. This is fully closed. Turn it on, turn it off, powder starts to flow, and that is really it. Some of the older versions have different configurations, but whatever. See, when we turn it on, you see it's on. The hopper vibrator is on. All it shows you whether it's on or off. Turn it off. And the parameters. So here you change your parameters. So what are we saying here? The cabin temperature in Celsius. Minimum, maximum, cabin RH, minimum and maximum. You set these so it beeps or it gives you some sort of error whenever you are out of spec. You can change your language over here. That's it. That's all there is to it. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, again, process related questions, please. We strongly encourage you to read your user manual. It is necessary that you follow the safety procedures in your user manual for warranty and care of your machine. If you have a process related question, we ask that you ask it in Discord. And if you have a warranty or mechanical problem with your machine, you can address that on our WhatsApp. So send us a video of the issue that you're having, and we will get to that as soon as possible. But that is the protocol that we ask you please to follow.